Hello, welcome to the BMC Learning Series. Today we'll be covering MainView MVI Agent Installation and Configuration, Part 1. We'll start by noting that BMC has replaced the MV Logger functionality with the DBC's Next Generation Logger, or NGL. NGL is designed as a high-volume logging service and positions the MainView product line to support the increased logging requirements in z/OS 2.x systems. It also provides many other benefits, including the use of 64-bit storage and significant zip offloading. Similar to other users of NGL, MainView Infrastructure, or MVI, will now have an agent running in the DBC. There's a new parameter member, MVI NGI-XX, which is created during the OSI configuration process and is stored by default in UBMC PARM. New MVI users will create a Logger00 member in the UBMC PARM. Existing customers may use their Logger XX members that are in the UBB PARM or move them to UBMC PARM. The MVI agent will interpret the Logger XX members to create DBC log sets instead of MV Logger log files. The transition was designed to have no impact on existing MainView customers who already have MV Logger configured. The MVI agent is designed with an NGL PIID via XML to the DBC repos file. In addition, a pointer to the MVI NGI-XX parameter member and to the parameter library, normally UBMC PARM, is defined and stored at the same time. The MVI NGI-XX parameter member defines which DBC instance it will use for logging and which NGL PIID will actually do the logging. The MVI NGI-XX parameter member defines which DBC instance it will use for logging and which NGL PIID will actually do the logging. It also points via the sysp parameter to the Logger XX members, which will be used to define the log sets and direct various types of logging data to the MVI agent. If an existing customer wants to retain their Logger XX members in the UBB PARM rather than move them to the UBMC PARM, they will use the optional PARM DSN parameters in MVI NGI-XX to point to the UBB PARM library. All configuration is done through jobs generated during the OSI cust process. No MainView configuration jobs are generated into the MainView staging library. The $445 copy job generates the parameter members, and the $465 init job stores the required XML definitions to the DBC repos file. Some parameters are not exposed during the configuration process and must be changed manually. More information on this will be provided later in this presentation. This slide illustrates the relationship between the variable in the $include members and the XML definitions in the $465 init job. If you need to change the MVI agent NGL PIID, MVI NGI member suffix, or UBMC PARM HLQ, you need to make the changes in the proper $include member before running the $465 init job. The $445 copy creates the MVI NGI-XX and Logger00 members in the UBMC PARM. It also creates a log file conversion utility job that existing customers can use to seed their MVI log sets from existing MVI Logger log files. New customers who do not have any BMC products will create all components from scratch. Current customers may or may not have an existing DBC depending on their product mix. If they have an existing DBC, we recommend that the MVI agent be installed in the existing DBC, but the customer may prefer a separate DBC for various reasons. The OSI installer creates a single MVI NGI-XX member by default, but there are certain conditions under which existing customers will require more than one MVI NGI-XX member. This will be discussed in further detail later. If there's no DBC in the environment, a DBC will need to be completely configured. Care should be taken to adhere to BMC's naming standard for the DBC SSID. That's the DC ampersand sysclone. This may affect the ability to use a common MVI NGI member. If a second DBC is created for the use of the MVI agent, the SSID DB ampersand sysclone is suggested. If the MVI agent is to be installed in an existing DBC, care must be taken that all agents run with the correct level of NGL code. The DBC can support multiple levels of NGL code through the load lib statement. If all agents run from a single SMPE environment, which is BMC's recommendation, all will be using the same level of NGL code and load lib statements will not be necessary. In this case, the load lib statements may optionally be removed from the $465 init job. Consult your local BMC MainView SC for advice. If multiple SMPE environments exist, load lib statements are required and should be retained in the $465 init job. The MVI NGI member is intended to be shared across multiple LPARs. It is created in the shared UBMC PARM library. The member has three parameters which will vary by LPAR: DBC ID, SysP, and PARM DSN. If any of these have varying values on different LPARs, they must use a naming convention that can be specified using system symbolics in order to have a single MVI NGI member. If the values cannot be specified using system symbolics, multiple MVI NGI XX members must be created, one for each LPAR. In this case, it is recommended that the name MVI $sysclone be used for each member. In this case, it is recommended that the name MVI NGI $sysclone be used for each member. This topic will be addressed in detail later in this course. In this slide, we show some examples of situations where the system symbolics cannot be used. The DBC and RTCS are components of the BMC Global Infrastructure. These components are designed to be shared across multiple product lines. There are three cases to consider when configuring global infrastructure as shown. We will examine the configuration requirements of each case. Case 1. If no BMC products which use RTCS and the DBC are installed, both components will need to be configured. Configuration information is entered from option 3 of the OSI Configuration Actions section. Global infrastructure is configured from option 1 of the following panel. Select option N for all components to configure a new instance. The DBC SSID will default to DC ampersand sysclone. This is the correct naming convention for compatibility with the MVI agent parameter members, so leave it as it is. This value is also embedded in various file names for files that belong exclusively to the DBC. This is another DBC-specific file with the DBC SSID embedded. The MVI agent does not use the UIM server, which is part of the global infrastructure. Unless you are installing other components which require UIM, you can simply give it a name and execution account number as shown above. The proc names may be changed to reflect your installation naming standards, as long as the security entries are changed in a corresponding manner. However, it is preferable to leave them with their default values if possible. The XCF group name should be left at the default value, unless you are supporting multiple subplexes with non-shared DASD and catalog. In that case, see the Planning Your RTCS Configuration course for recommended values. After generating the configuration JCL, there are 4 jobs which will configure RTCS and the DBC. The $310 VZMC allocates the RTCS registry. The $410 VNGL allocates the DBC's NGL registry, and the $445 copy and the $465 init create the UBMC PARM and the DBC repos parameters entries respectively. Case 2. If you are already running a copy of RTCS for MainView products which do not use the DBC, such as MainView for ZOS or MainView for Kix, you will have to create a new DBC instance, but continue using your existing RTCS. Enter into the Configuration Values Option 3 from the ASI main menu. Select Option 1 for Global Infrastructure. In this case, enter N for the DBC and NGL components. Enter Yes for UIM and RTCS. ASI will fill in the default DBC SSID value of DC ampersand sysclone. In this case, you may be adding a new DBC for the MVI agent only in an environment that already has a DBC. If this is the case, and the existing DBC is already using the DC ampersand sysclone value for its SSID, you will have to change the default SSID and group name to avoid conflicts with the existing DBC. DB ampersand sysclone and DB plex are the recommended values if available. The group name and the SSID are embedded in the NGL registry name, so if you have changed them on the previous panel, make sure they are changed here as well. After generating the JCL, you will have the $410 VNGL, $445 copy, and $465 init job, but not the $310 VZMC, as that job allocates the RTCS registry, which has already been done. The final case is when you have both an existing RTCS and DBC instance and are planning to install MVI Agent into the existing DBC environment. Once again, select Option 3 from the main menu. Select Option 1 for Global Infrastructure. In this case, you are reusing all components. In order for the $465 init job to update the existing DBC correctly, you must provide the SSID and group name for the target DBC. These are available from messages in the DBC started task. Look for message BMC NGL 59001I in the DBC message log. They'll also be available as parameters on the DBC proc exec statement. Check your system proc libs to make sure your NGL arc proc has not been renamed. If it's not there, the most likely value is MVNGL arc. If that is not there either, search the proc libs for the program name NGL9ARC to identify the current proc name. When reusing the DBC, only the $445 copy and $465 init jobs are generated, as the NGL registry has already been created. That concludes Part 1 of the MVI Agent install and configuration. Parts 2 and 3 cover the MVI NGI and Logger PARM members respectively. For more videos on MainView and other BMC solutions, please visit our BMC Mainframe YouTube channel at youtube.com/user/BMC Software Mainframe/featured. That's it for this session. Thank you, and see you next time.